woodchuckers. It's Groundhog Day!
All right, here we go with episode 2 of whatever we're calling this thing, man. Ginty here, and yeah, man, we're looking at a couple of weeks, about 2.5 weeks of being quarantined. I've been working out of the house. Now, I do a radio program Monday through Friday, and actually, they've hooked me up in the studio I'm currently in right now with all kinds of gear and computers and stuff to actually broadcast my radio show from my house every day, which is really cool, actually. I don't have to shower or put on shoes or pants to go to work every day. It's kind of cool, man. I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of working at home issues as well, some good and some bad. I've been keeping busy though, washing my hands all the time, of course, getting outside as much as possible due to the fact that you kind of got to keep your brain sane a little bit, at least occasionally. I've been doing a lot of paddleboarding, walking, running, keeping as active as possible and trying not to eat too much junk food. A lot of people have been talking now via Zoom and FaceTime. The big conversation is, when's this all going to end? You know, okay, a week, haha, pretty cool. 2 weeks, all right, I can deal with 2 weeks. Now we're heading to 3 weeks and 4 weeks, and it looks like it's going to be a lot longer because the news hasn't been good the last couple days coming out. When's it going to end? Well, nobody really knows, unfortunately. That's the problem. You know, normally if you've got a finish line or a goal to reach at the end of the line, you kind of go, okay, out there somewhere, that's where we're going to end up. Well, we don't have that. And that's the weird part, right? There is no finish line. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. Experts are saying there's about 4 possible scenarios. This could all be over in 1 to 2 months. Now, they say that's pretty unlikely, obviously, but if somehow the coronavirus turns out to be not as serious and seems to be going a little bit better than it is currently, we could get to normal life and normal lifestyle sort of within a couple of months, which would be cool. Now, that's not going to probably happen. Okay, another scenario is 3 to 4 months. They're saying this scenario could happen if we learn that a lot of people have gotten the virus, worked through it with minor symptoms, and then developed immunity, if immunity is even a thing after you have it. Now, then we can isolate clusters or at-risk people to get others back to normal. Now, this scenario would, of course, require the U.S. getting up to speed on testing, which we seem to be getting a little bit better handle on it, and possibly scientists quickly developing a treatment that can help ease the symptoms and maybe even prevent some deaths from the virus. Another scenario, according to experts, is maybe 4 to 12 months. Yeah, in case you're not good at math, 12 months is a year. This scenario is entirely dependent on whether the warm weather in the summertime, which we're getting here in the South now, will slow down the coronavirus like it does slow down the flu. But no one seems to know if that's going to happen or if that is even true. So if that does happen, though, big crowds are probably still out of the question, but smaller groups might be okay. We would probably need another round of social distancing in the fall when the weather cools off again, depending on how widespread testing and a vaccine are coming along. That's scenario number 3, 4 to 12 months. Again, this is just a lot of speculation so far. Now, the fourth thing, 12 to 18 months of what we're currently been doing for just a couple of weeks now. And it could be longer. Okay, here's the scenario. This would be, quote, if world record lightning speed, a vaccine could be ready by next spring, a year from now. And once it's ready, it, of course, then will need to be approved, then produced, and then administered to everyone. I'm not talking your family. I'm talking over 350 million people in the U.S. Now, hopefully, things will get back to normal sooner than later, but you might want to plan for the long haul. That being said, people are finding things to do. Like a bunch of neighbors in Milwaukee, they put on a bunch of inflatable T-Rex costumes and organized a dinosaur parade through the streets the other day. Of course, all the neighbors came out and watched the T-Rex parade go up and down their street. They stayed 6 feet apart, social distancing, all that cool stuff. But the kids obviously loved the damn thing. Now, the key here is, though, we still do need to keep the social distancing thing up. In fact, Brazilian police are keeping social distancing and breaking up large crowds by flying helicopters low to the ground, and that creates a dust storm and a sandstorm, and that chases all the people away and sends them back to their houses, and especially off the beach to keep the enforcement of the coronavirus lockdown in place. Also, check this out. Brazilian gangs have vowed to enforce curfews. Yes, gangs are keeping things quiet in Brazil. Chances are, if you're working from home, I am sure you are learning way more about your spouse, your partner, whatever, than you probably ever thought you would. A lot of little weird intricacies about how their day-to-day at work goes by. It's pretty interesting stuff. You're probably learning a lot more about them than you ever wanted to learn. Like when you eat in certain foods, right? You're obviously probably spending a lot more time dining together, lunch, breakfast, dinner. You're probably finding out, hey, wait a minute. You do that way. For instance, when you make a sandwich, right? What's the best way to cut it? Straight across or diagonally, right? Well, 80% say that diagonal is a better cut for your sandwich. Okay, still tastes the same either way, but okay, I get it. I'm not going to argue the point. When you eat pizza, do you just eat it flat or do you fold it, right? Well, 31% of people say they actually fold the pizza. Now, if it's thin pizza and saucy, then you better fold that bitch. You know what I mean? Do you put your ketchup on your fries or do you put it on the side and dip your fries in it, right? Well, 92% people say they prefer to put their ketchup on the side and dip their fries in the ketchup. Look, a lot of questions that are thrown around here are, is the corona outbreak going to bring the world closer together or push it farther apart? Who knows? Obviously, we got a long way to go through this thing, I'm afraid. But according to a new survey, people are twice as likely to say that this shared experience of the quarantine situation, once it's over, it's going to bring the world closer together. Well, I could see that actually, because obviously when you're not allowed to do something for a long period of time, when you get the chance to do it, you want to go nuts, right? Think about it. We've all been kept, most of us, in our houses. Can't go out, can't talk to anyone else but your own family members. Chances are the dinner table is fairly quiet at your house because at this point you've probably run out of things to talk about. You know what I mean? Most people cannot wait to get out and see somebody, see a friend, a coworker in person, right? Now, as far as keeping things closer together in the future, and as far as connection, I think that it'll probably be better. Here's why I say that. I think we've all learned that, you know what? Don't look down when you see someone coming at you on the street. Look up, say hello, or wave, or just go, hey, what's up? Give them the old, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Do that kind of thing in the future once we're allowed to, of course. Shaking hands, that might be a little bit weird in the future. I don't know if that's going to continue. But I think the fact that a lot more people have learned how to use like FaceTime and Zoom and all those, and Skype, right? Even, the old people are getting to figure it out. I think in the future, that means more calls to grandma. You're going to get more involved with people working from home. Okay, this is groundbreaking, I think. I think a lot of companies are going to realize, why do we pay all this rent for these massive office spaces when everyone or most everyone can do their jobs from their house? Maybe we'll have some sort of deal where the offices will be smaller. And then like 1 week you go into the office while half of the crew stays at home. And then you switch the next week or something like that. Obviously, there's a lot of details that got to be worked out. But I think it is possible that we can learn a lot from this. I mean, look at transportation right now. Nobody's going anywhere, right? Animals are starting to show up. I mean, the whole thing with the Venice canals getting cleared out, that's pretty badass. And the reason they're not cleared out is because you got millions of tourists going there every year and the water continues to churn up. It's kind of cool. And there's been other reports around the world of certain nature situations sort of kind of coming back because humans are staying out of the way. A lot of the NASA pictures, the satellite imagery from pre-coronavirus outbreak to current shows a lot of the pollution has gone way down. Okay, maybe we're on to something here. I think there's going to be some good things that come out of this once we get through it. I'm hoping that we'll also learn that our education system is really jacked up. Think about it. In New York City, when they first decided to start closing down the schools, one of the main reasons that they didn't close down the schools right away is they had to figure out how to feed the kids who are going to these schools because that is the only time of the day they eat during the week. That's how poor, and it was like 250,000 kids or something like that. Okay, that's a major problem that no one seemed to really think much about as far as the average person, right? The same thing is probably happening in every community, probably in your town. There are schools where kids are only eating because they go to school. Now, obviously, they figured out ways to make this work out by having meal pickup locations in different locations for these kids. This is a major problem, okay? I don't know how to fix it, but it needs to be addressed. That is huge. And then teaching the kids from home. Okay, this is interesting because think about this. Okay, a lot of kids, a lot of fortunate kids have internet access at their house, and they've been able to at least figure out how to use the internet a little bit better. They're using the Google Classroom thing, which is pretty cool. So they're getting information and they are doing some semblance of learning online. I think this is going to be a way to revolutionize teaching online because, again, why don't we do this more often? Think about how much time you spend in your car commuting to and from school all the time, whether it be via the bus or you personally dropping your kid off every day. How about once in a while, a couple days a week, maybe they only go to school Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? You know what I mean? I don't know. There's no perfect solution here, but there's going to be some revolutionary changes. And think about the medical field going forward. You don't think that there's like kids out there right now that are teenagers who are like, this sucks ass, man. I don't want to sit at home with my parents 24/7, 365. This blows. There's going to be a bunch of kids who are going to want to now go to medical school, and they're going to want to figure out how to stop these things before they happen, because they're going to, A, recognize two things. One, they can help people and stop this craziness, and two, probably make a shitload of money. So there's going to be a lot of, hopefully, positive changes out there once we get through this situation. And then looking into our politicians afterwards, that is going to be years and years of just digging around to see who screwed up with what, where, why, when, and how. And obviously you're probably up to speed on all the stupid stuff that's going on. And right now, hey, okay, you just keep taking notes, because in a couple of years when this is over, the investigations are going to go on forever. And there's going to be some people who are going to have to answer some serious questions. International Olympic Committee spokesperson Dick Pound announced that the Tokyo Olympic Games are going to be postponed amid the coronavirus pandemic, and they will be held this time, or in July, in 2021. This guy's name is Dick Pound. Now, you know he was named Richard, right? When he was a kid, when he was born, his parents were like, oh, look at this little Richard Pound. And they probably never gave second thought that he potentially could be called Dick Pound when he grew up. And now this is a grown man. This guy is a badass, right? He's a former Olympic swimmer. He chooses not to go by Richard Pound. He chooses to go by the name Dick Pound. This guy is either naive as hell, or he's got one hell of a sense of humor. Anyway, other news that's come out, Dickie Head says that your kid's next party has been canceled due to the coronavirus outbreak. Wet fart, well, he claims that toilet paper shortages were they're going to go on for a little bit longer in the future. A NAS rammer wants to remind you that if you do use Uber, if you do use Instacart or anything like that, be sure to tip your driver. Jack off, he reminds you to use hand lotion after you wash each time to keep your hands and your skin from feeling chapped and cracking. There's a new cookbook out you might want to try if you're cooking a lot more from home, and chances are you are. I don't know if this is the best one to use, but it might have some cool recipes in there. Let me know. Judy Graham swallows, and, we'll see how that works out for her. Dick Assman, he wants you to know that gas prices are really cheap these days. Yeah, he's out there just saying, hey, 99-cent gas in some places right now in Louisiana. It's crazy. Mike Clitoris is having trouble finding things to do around the house. This guy's having a tough time with this whole lockdown with the coronavirus situation. And I can't believe this, but Mrs. Rape, she isn't getting everyone's homework emailed to her in the right format because the kids are working from home. And Mrs. Rape's a little pissed off about that. And she'd like to have a little parent-teacher conference with you. A lot of problems are rearing their ugly head due to the fact that people are stuck with each other, okay? Divorce rates are skyrocketing from couples who are stuck in quarantine together. Not everybody's getting along, right? Here's a little piece of advice for you youngsters. If you're going to choose a partner, choose wisely. Some divorce attorneys say they've seen a 50% rise in calls from potential clients, and I get a funny feeling that is just going to keep going up. There's a lot of essential businesses and there's some non-essential businesses, right? The non-essential businesses have been closed and they can't be open due to a lot of local laws and stuff. And that's cool, man. I don't think anyone needs to go buy a weed whacker right now, but you may need to buy groceries. So you see what I'm getting at, right? Well, some narc in Illinois the other day called the cops on an adult video store that was offering curbside pickup. Hey, man, entrepreneurs are sharp, right? Yeah, they were offering curbside pickup for your adult pleasuring needs, right? Well, the business was, of course, deemed non-essential, and the manager actually finally agreed to shut it down. He says beforehand, though, sales were really booming. Apparently, everyone needed their love lube and their dildos. There is a 19-year-old woman in the United Kingdom who's currently spending her time in quarantine by calling her exes to see what went wrong in their relationship. First of all, why the hell would you ever do that? Second of all, she's 19. If she's got a lot of phone calls to make, this girl's got other issues going on, right? Yeah, right. You know what? The quarantine thing is obviously a huge problem. Okay, think about this. There are kids supposed to graduate this spring, right? High school graduations, probably not going to happen. College graduations, nope, not going to happen either. Although I got to admit, when I graduated, I basically sat in the hot sun for about 3 hours, listened to horrible speeches and a bunch of names being read off, and I had a massive hangover. So really, the graduation thing, kids, if you're pissed, don't be so pissed. You'll get your diploma, right? Chances are, once this whole thing settles down, they'll have a ceremony down the road for you. But here's another problem. There's kids having birthdays. What are you going to do for your kid? You can't have a party. You can't have a party. I mean, there's some creative ways to get around this. There's a kid that recently turned 21 years of age. Now, okay, what are you going to do when you turn 21? Go to the bars. You want to go out and get hammered, right, with your buddies and do it legally. Show the ID. Check it out, man. I'm 21. Yeah, a kid's parents felt that him going out was obviously a bad idea because it was, and it is, and most bars are now closed. He couldn't go out for his 21st birthday, so the kid was sulking around the house, of course. Well, the parents had a surprise for him. What they did was they turned their garage into a nightclub. Yeah. Dad went out to the side door, the small door entrance to the garage, put on a little velvet rope, put on a black t-shirt, and stood there like the bouncer and told the kid to come outside and go to the side door of the garage, right? So the kid goes out there and he's like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, ID. He guarded his kid at the door. He opens the side door. The parents had decorated their garage, right? There's a disco ball. He's got a younger sister. She's on the Wheels of Steel DJing. And the mom comes out like a waitress and hands him a shot for his 21st birthday and says, happy birthday. Now, look, that's got to just suck for the 21-year-old, but kind of a cool attempt by the parents. Now, a lot of people are kind of breaking the rules with this quarantine thing, right? The cops got called the other day in Spain. Here's why. There was an orgy going on. Okay, couple things here. First of all, an orgy, probably going to get some crud downstairs, if you know what I mean, right? And the coronavirus gets spread by basically humans hanging out together. An orgy, pretty good opportunity to spread the disease. So somebody called the cops on an orgy. First of all, who's calling the cops on an orgy? It ain't somebody partaking, I'm pretty sure. And then if it's not, who's the nosy ass neighbor? Can't you bust those guys for peeping Toms? Anyway, whatever. Anyway, the orgy got broke up. Yeah, the people at the orgy when the cops showed up just said, cool, more people coming in dressed up like cops. No, they all got fined for having an orgy. Not because of the orgy, of course, but because of social distancing being necessary. The last video podcast, or whatever the hell this thing's called, I talked about a guy who was in New York City in Brooklyn, and he was on his rooftop chilling, right? And he looked across the street, and there was a girl dancing on her rooftop balcony, right? And he's like, huh, he had a drone. So what's he do? Guys will figure stuff out, by the way. He tapes his phone number and his name to the drone, flies it across the street, and hovers it in front of the girl who was dancing. She looks up, she grabs the note, she looks at it, she texts your boy back. Yeah, they kept texting for a while. Okay, that was like a week ago that this happened. You know what? They went on their first date. Yes, I'm telling you, man, if these guys get married, I'm going to follow this story forever. They had their first date. Of course, you can't like hang, right? Closely. So they texted for about a week and they kind of figured out, hey, look, I kind of want to see you at least kind of close and in person. So they did. They had a virtual dinner date from across the street. So they FaceTimed. That's cool. And then he got inside one of those big plastic balls that you can sit in, right? Or walk in. It's called a Zorg or a Zorb ball, right? And he's walking down the street in that thing. And then she's walking down the street without that thing. Okay, first of all, this dude's got balls. I mean, first of all, the whole sending your name and number on a drone to the chick is pretty badass, right? But to jump in a geek-ass giant plastic ball and walk down the street with a girl you barely know, you know what? My hat's off to you, buddy. You're kicking ass. I got to be honest, I've been spending a lot more time on my damn couch. And did you realize that most people hold on to their couches for over 12 years? 12 years. That means that according to a new survey during this time, your couch is going to see over 7,400 hours of television, over 6,900 spills, which averages out to like 11 a week over 12 years. Okay, look, who the hell is spilling that much shit on their couch? Do we have a hole in your lip or something? Come on, get your shit together. You shouldn't be spilling that much. You're looking for things to do. Here's a little hobby you can take up. That is, of course, if you have plenty of toilet paper. Toilet paper origami is a thing. Yes, toilet paper origami. So what you do is you sit there, because you're not going anywhere for at least a couple of minutes anyway, and people have learned to fold up little hats on the end of the roll. Some people have gotten really good with, they make like a rose out of the toilet paper. Yeah, toilet paper origami. I'm sure you can look it up and figure out how to do it for yourself. People in France are using 911 or their version of 911, not for emergency purposes. Of course, that's a problem. You do not ever want to tie up the 911 line. That is always for emergency purposes only. But the French police have been getting a lot of weird calls since the quarantine began. One woman called the 911 service in France, whatever that is, and asked, can my husband spend the weekend with his mistress? I don't know where they make these kind of girls. That's pretty wild. Also, another person called in to the 911 service and said, hey, listen, a stranger caressed my horse. Is there a risk it's contaminated? Dude, if someone's caressing your horse, I'm sure the coronavirus is the last thing you need to worry about. I don't know if you saw this last week. Drew Brees of the New Orleans Saints donated $5 million from a foundation, him and his wife did, to the state of Louisiana to help feed like 10,000 people a day. That means people in the service industry, homeless, whatever, whoever needed it. 10,000 meals a day. That is pretty badass. Well, he was actually on the Today Show last week with the interviewer, Hoda Kotb. Right? Now, she spent a lot of time in Louisiana. She was a newscaster here in New Orleans for quite a few years. So she's still got a lot of close ties to New Orleans. So here's how the ending of it went. She's thanking him for what he's done. Here's how it went.
Drew, we love you.
Love you too, Hoda.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, a lot more. Sorry.
Whew. Yeah, that's hard to watch, man. But people, you know what? It's cool though that dude, people are getting emotional, and it's gonna keep happening. You know, this is not an easy thing to deal with, right? And she's emotional due to the fact that it's her hometown. She loves Drew Brees. She loves the Saints. So you can see where she just became overwhelmed with the whole situation. Brutal, right? You've been walking your dog a lot more? I know I have been. A shit ton more. My dog loves it. Think about this. You normally go to work 8-10 hours a day, whatever it is, and your dog is just chilling all damn day. You come home and the dog's freaking out, right? And maybe you walk it, maybe you don't. Not everybody does. I unfortunately don't. I know I'm an asshole. Got a huge backyard, so the dog spends a lot of time outside, so it's got room to run. Since I've been quarantine at my house the last few weeks. My dog's just cruising around, comes up, sees me in my studio doing work, chills for a while. It's like, hey, we'll see you. And then goes downstairs, visits the wife. Hey, what are you doing? And then sees my kid doing the homework. Hey, how you doing? The dog couldn't be happier. And it's getting fat too because we just keep feeding it all the time. Then every night we go for a walk and the dog's like, man, you guys are walking me. This is badass. What is going on? I think the dog's getting the idea that maybe it's starting to suck for her because we are around all the time. She might want some space. You know what I mean? The pet thing is huge, actually, because there is a lot of pet stores and shelters especially. They're running out of animals, which never happens usually. It's because people are lonely and they want a pet to hang out with. So this is a great thing for at least the pets who have been abandoned in the shelters, and definitely go to the shelters or find a pet that way than spend all that money on a purebred. And finally, I'll leave you with this. The longest traffic light, since a lot of us aren't driving anymore, the longest traffic light at a regular intersection in the United States is in West Milford, New Jersey. It stays red for 5 minutes and 33 seconds. 5 minutes and 33 seconds. You got to sit at this damn light. Look, you sit at a light for 30 seconds, you start freaking out, you start wanting to lay on the horn. Can you imagine the beatings and the road rage that must take place at this intersection? Hey, I appreciate you checking this out again today. Look, I'll have another one out next week. I don't know what these things are going to contain. I'm just trying to keep it interesting, keep it light, and give you something else to watch online. And it gives me something to do, because if I don't have something to do, I'm going to go insane. So you got comments? Fire away, man. Again, if you're going to rag on me for something, don't waste your time. Go ahead. Don't care. If you got constructive criticism, I'll take all the comments you got. Man, I just want to make this better. All right, so let me know what you're thinking, and we'll do this again next week.